protesting against the fact that Unitarian Universalists have a very, very poor track record when it comes to responding with justice, equity, and compassion to all manner of clergy misconduct and clergy abuse. The sign in my right hand here says unsafe sect. According to the dictionary definition of the word sect, Unitarian Universalism is a sect. It's a tiny, radical, good morning, religious community. In fact, Reverend Peter Morales, the current president of the Unitarian Universalists, described Unitarian Universalism as a tiny, declining fringe religion in his stump speech announcing his candidacy for president of the UUA. Sect and tiny, declining fringe religion are pretty much the same thing. If one wanted to provide a dictionary definition of the word sect, tiny, declining fringe religion would do quite well. On my left here, Unitarians affirm and promote abusive clergy. When I use the term abusive, I mean it in a broad sense of the word. I mean abusive in any way. Obviously, when one speaks of abusive clergy, the clergy sexual abuse immediately comes to mind. But the fact of the matter is that there's all kinds of non-sexual forms of abuse that Unitarian Universalist clergy, to say nothing of clergy in other religious communities, are capable of committing, that do in fact perpetrate. This can be verbal and psychological abuse. This can be abuses of power, other forms, and so on. So basically that word abusive is not referring only to clergy sexual abuse, but other forms of abuse. How do Unitarians affirm abusive clergy? Well, it's very simple. When someone is subjected to one form of abuse or another by a Unitarian Universalist minister, and one complains about that abuse, very often the minister is whitewashed by the local congregation and or the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. So they basically affirm that abusive behavior. They affirm the minister in that sense. They basically said, oh, that minister did nothing wrong. How do Unitarians promote abusive clergy? Well, they promote them in almost every sense of the word promote. Promote them by promoting them within the ranks to higher positions within the community. In the case of Reverend Ray Drennan, he behaved towards me in a manner that was clearly indicative of anti-religious intolerance and bigotry, and yet he was later promoted, as it were, to being put on what's called the Regional Subcommittee for Candidacy of the Ministerial Fellowship Committee. These regional subcommittees on candidacy are basically screening committees for screening Unitarian Universalist ministerial candidates. So Drennan was promoted in that sense. He was promoted in other ways. He had a very prominent role at the UUA GA in 2002, if I'm not mistaken, in Quebec City. He had a very prominent role there. He was promoted in other ways, but he's by no means the only Unitarian minister that's been, literally promoted by Unitarian Universalists. Reverend Victoria Weinstein, also known as Peace Bang, is another one. Her own deeply insulting and verbally and psychologically abusive behavior was again whitewashed by the UUA. They just pretended that basically it was outside of her role as a minister, and they did absolutely nothing to censor her abusive behavior. And then they later promoted her by promoting her fashion tips for minister and so on in the UU World magazine and on the UU World blog and so on. So that's it for now. We'll go into other details later.